and how it works. So if you see on our website, let me add that link in the chat so you all can have same access as I have. Our main forum, I'm not going anywhere else. Our main forum, the last topic is our Swagger. So if I scroll all the way down, you will see Swagger API. If you scroll all the way down, you will see something like this. Yes, so Swagger. Now Swagger actually become instantly popular because it's a browser based and it requires hardly few lines of code to create a working API. So if you're in my forum, if you click on this link, you will understand what it is. Just click on the link. This link is kind of easy, simple link, which allows you to see how Swagger works. Because normally QA, when they try to do work in a real life, no one is going to give you documentation nowadays. They will give you Swagger URL. And that is actually enough for you to do your QA work. So if you click on it, the Swagger URL, you will see something like this. Beautiful, right? Yes or no? Now, this is one of the best things because it gives you ideas. So example, if I click on get, it gives me complete detail about what should I do? How do I pass that? Like example, find by status. And if I say try it out, I can literally call by executing, try it out and execute. I can literally see the result. I don't have to write any code for that. Pretty cool, right? Let me repeat again. So first of all, where we are in our forum. There is a link here. You click on the link. The Swagger URL gives you all CRUD operation, right? Post, get, put, and delete. You click on it and you get a nice colorful URL document. This is your context where you can say, I want to do post, put, and get. Get is easy because you don't have to write anything. So if I click, I can say, hey, I want Pat find by status. I click on that and then I execute. As soon as I click on try out and execute, I will see these Pat informations in my browser itself. So you can see how nicely it explains that, hey, I got a response code 200, and I got this data. Makes sense or no? This is designed for anyone who wants to understand about what is the API, how it works, what parameter this API required or not. So now let's click on the post part. Click on the post part. So if you click on post, it will give you the information about how many parameters you need. So example, you can see here, it gives you example also. So hey, if you want to post, you need something like this. So it gives you informations. It also tells you that you need ID, you need a name and category. And then it also gives you some information about status available or not. Now, if you see here ID and name, these informations you have, it's example. Now, sometimes you can also say this is required, this is not required, like that. And now if you say try it out, if you click on try it out, it gives you option like you can take this thing as a starting point and you can execute. So what will happen? This JSON can be inserted to your service layer. Now you can change also. These are all editable. So it's editor on the browser, which is kind of cool, right? Instantly you can edit and you can click on execute and it will start working on it. So we're going to do something like this. Interesting, right? Something like from scratch. We'll do our own Swagger document. Though this is normally done by developer, QA normally use it. So those who are a developer or those who are going for a developer role, then this will be a plus skill. In your resume, you might be writing like Postman, SOAP UI, Karate, right? You can also write Swagger. This is also an API. Swagger is also API which is used for documentation purpose. And how it is working and all, we'll discuss about it. But you can see on the top, there is a colorful information about your Swagger. You can search your endpoints. You can see the version, other informations, and you can click on the link also. So you can create a nice document. So you can click on the link, you get more details about the software and all. If there is a source code is there, you can download and can do all those work. So again, creating Swagger is not a complex part, but using Swagger is going to be a part of your day-to-day life. where you click any endpoint and you get a more detail about, like example, if I go to any endpoint, like example here, I want to do delete. So I click on it. So if I click on delete, it gives me options called try it out. But before I try it out, it gives me a couple of things. Hey, if you click on try it out, you need API key, right? That's an header and you need this thing. So if I don't pass it, then it will consider as an invalid request. So it's very important for all of us to understand what is needed. This gives you clue that as a QA person, what are the informations I need to provide into my request or body or my header. Now you can get started from there. Make sense or not? Now, part of today's exercise, first we will create how this Swagger API can be created. So we'll use a Python to create a web service. Once we create a web service, we'll add annotation. So there are annotations are there for Swagger. Again, these are called boilerplate. If I plug it to any service, it will work just like that. So example, you might notice like you have done Python web service earlier where we started as a book, right? So book as a web service. Now that web service has a get, post, put and delete. But if you add a Swagger content, then that web service will have a couple of other endpoints. One endpoint will be Swagger. One endpoint will be Swagger. So if I do Swagger, then I can get that view. And another endpoint will be API document. So if I do API document, then I get a beautiful, colorful service documentation on a browser. So these are two endpoints we'll be adding using Swagger API. So Swagger API allows me to decorate any service. So example, instead of book, it can be product or it can be any other service. Trust me, whatever code you are using, you don't have to change anything. Just add couple of endpoint. One endpoint will be Swagger and second endpoint for API document. Once you set that, your service will now become Swagger enabled. It means normal CRUD operation will work without any difficulty, but at the same time, Swagger API will work also. Sounds good? So for that, any questions so far? Any question, concern so far? Which one? Web services? No. Web services. You're in Google class? And the queue is all the way down. All the way down. Yeah. If you go to class link, then you have everything. If you go to class link, then you have everything. Go to PowerPoint. If you're in class link, then you have everything. Go to PowerPoint. See here. PowerPoint. Go to forum. If you know the PowerPoint, then you have everything. This is the $1 million forum, by the way. If you're going for a job, trust me, you have all answers. So you should memorize now where it is, right? It's in a PowerPoint, microservice week 6, right? Lambda. And you click on it and you will go all the way down. So you can go all the way down, which you can see that. So your web service overview, which is this one, all the way down, you will see what are Swagger, right? Any other questions? Good. So before we start into that, I have one API here, Python API. First of all, you all need to jump into the forum. Please jump into the forum and give me thumbs up that you are already here. Everyone should jump in to the forum. Give me thumbs up that you all are here. Yeah. In case if you're still not clear about it, it's all written in your Google class. So this is the Google class. In Google class under PowerPoint, week number 6, you can see forum. Shouldn't be that difficult. You click on that and go all the way down. Right now, let me show you here. So let me. Taking the project. I'll update for you. That way it will be easier. Now refresh it so you can get that. Right? Good. Okay, so now I'm hoping all of you are able to navigate that. People on phone, In case if you just join, let me add the link in the chat so you all can jump in. Now, I'm hoping all of you are able to go through that. Now, please understand, this is the forum I created, this link, because our forum is getting bigger and bigger and I'm not able to add pictures and all. So I added a link here. If you can click on the link, please click on the link. There are two programs I developed. The Python API. This is the Python API. And if you click on that, you will have two programs there. Let me know if you're able to see those, right? Now, the way we are going to do step by step, because I have three things to cover. I want to cover three things together. So it will be easier if we all follow the flow. First, we'll focus on Python. Now, anyone who does web service development, make sure you understand your Python program require Python installation, which I think we did on week 1. So that should not be a problem, right? The second thing your Python program does require a library. So for that, we normally go to command prompt. I think everyone should know how to start a command prompt, and we are going to install library. There are a couple of libraries we will be installing through pip, and those are Swagger specific library. Why? Because we have not covered Swagger so far. If you remember, we have done Python Flask. So we have installed Python Flask. This is all Flask service. And on top of that, we will be installing Swagger. So I'll show you step by step. Why don't you all click on the myservice.py, just click on it. So if you click on that, program is pretty small and it's a readable program. So let's understand program before we start. The first program. Everyone is able to understand? Let me repeat one more time. I am in a web service, our forum. From there, I click on the Python API. In case if you are not very clear, this is web service which forum we have been using. It's in our Google Docs under PowerPoint. Click on it, you come here. Once you click here, you will see two files like this. So you see two files. First, we'll focus on first file, making sure we understand, because if I try to do big program without understanding smaller, it will be confusing. So let's do step-by-step approach. So now I'm clicking on myservice.py. First, we need to understand how this program works. So if you remember, so far we were using Flask, which you know very well, and you can see route. Many of you know that very well because we did it. This service only just give you hello world. So if somebody call hello, the service will give you hello world, and this will listen to port 5000, I believe. If it change the port, no problem, we'll change as well. So first thing, this is nothing new. We have been using Flask, and this is the same service we are using, Flask. So this is our knowledge. We know how to use Flask web service. Now, on top of that, we are using a couple of things. So please pay attention. We are using a Swagger endpoint and we are using API endpoint. Please pay attention. This is our new learning. Once you understand that, it's easy. So first of all, anyone who wants to know Swagger, they're going to call /Swagger, just like we do hello, right? They're going to call Swagger. Here we call /hello. When you call /hello, it's going to give me hello world. So it's going to give me hello world. But if somebody calls Swagger, what we are doing, we're tying Swagger to app, because Swagger is an open API. Open API means the pluggable to any framework. So Swagger say, you know what, I'm going to use your app, and now onwards, I'll add info title, and you can write whatever you want. So like example, if you are writing a product API, then you will write product API. If you're writing library, then you will write library. If you're writing hospital, then you will write hospital. Makes sense or no? This is something developer will write. This is your title of API. And then you have version. Normally API will go through version 1.0, 1.2, 1.3, like that, keep going further. So developer will keep writing the version. So we should know, before we test, we should know which version we are testing. So this one will give me the title and version for that API. Why am I using hello? Because right now I'm talking about hello. But let's say if I'm doing product, then I'll say product API and respective version. Now this is boilerplate code. Doesn't matter which service you use. You have to use that, right? And once you are done with that, you are returning your Swagger object, and that will be visible in a JSON format to the user. So when user calls Swagger, they will see the title and version for the API. Any questions so far? So far, so good. Now, we want to have colorful details, right? Because this will give you just JSON. It won't do anything, just JSON. But let's do colorful detail. So here we are saying, if somebody requests API doc, then API URL will be Swagger. And now we are saying Swagger URL, and this is like a boilerplate code. This is also boilerplate code. You just need to write app name and hello API. Whatever you want to write, you can write here because it's just a JSON. So what will happen as soon as you do that, Swagger, this thing, Swagger blueprint, you are registering that to the app. This is your app object. You're registering that, and you're saying anytime somebody call this API doc, it will go to blueprint, and that will show you the colorful document. This is the method coming from Swagger. So here the documentation, the colorful use of like get, post, put, delete will come because of this. Now, anytime somebody requests, this one is simple, you won't see that much colorful because we are not writing detail. But in next service, we are writing in detail. But this will always there. So this is the second thing, and this is the first thing. In first thing, you just write a simple Swagger. So you educate your client or QA, hey, this is the Swagger. This one will give you browser-based get, post, and delete. So you can test it out. You don't need a postman. You can test it out. I'll show you step by step also. But in this exercise, this line is a boilerplate code. It means no matter which service you use, you just copy paste. There is nothing to change in this line. The only thing you will change is the service API and if you have other detail. But this one also boilerplate code. This one is also boilerplate. This one is boilerplate, Swagger URL and API URL. And in config, you can write whatever you want because it's just a key value. It's your choice. Whatever you want to write, key value. If you want to write some example, if you want to write some help guide, if you want to write GitHub URL, you can write as well because those will be kind of helpful for documentation purpose. Make sense? So now what we need to do, go to command prompt. Everyone start command prompt. So do CMD, and you all should be in command prompt. Let me repeat one more time. On your search, just write CMD, search CMD, and click on command prompt, and you will see something like that. Now, as always, I don't want to install library. I want you to see why we need to install the library. So whenever I write my Python program, I make a habit of writing this hash sign, and then I use pip command. The reason I do that, so this gives me clue that wherever I'm going to run this program, I need to install this pip command. Now, I'm not going to run directly. I normally run after I get error. Why? Because it gives me clue, okay, this is the error, this is the library. Because sometimes in interview, people will ask you, which library did you use? You cannot say just any library. You need to know explicitly, just like if you are working on a Selenium, if somebody say, which dependency did you use? You should know that. Many of you say, I use TasteNG, I use Selenium, I use POI. You should know that. If you do not know, then technically speaking, you don't know anything. Because this library makes Swagger working. So as you go further, we will be installing this thing. You guys are okay? Command prompt. So right now, maybe you can see on the screen, right? Because this will be very helpful. So right now, what we are going to do, we're going to create a file and we will paste this thing. This is our program, we'll paste that. So right now, let's create here, Notepad, my web service, my-web-service.py. So in a Notepad, write down Notepad space my-web-service.py. Again, you can give any name. You can say product.productservice.py. You can give bookservice.py. I'm using my-web-service.py. Make sure you give .py so it will be extension for Python program. I normally use Notepad. You can use any editor of your choice. The reason I use Notepad because the goal of the exercise that debugging will be a lot easier. Because if you use IDE, sometimes IDE hide complexity. And when you try to change the IDE, it will be nightmare. But if you use Notepad, then what will happen? You can work in any IDE because you're not dependent on IDE. Many people are using XYZ IDE. It works there, but if your company doesn't use IDE or company use something else, they are hand tied. So I try to use rudimentary way initially because if I can do this way, I can work with IDE as well. So right now I'm doing Notepad space mywebservice.py. Now press enter and it will open a Notepad editor. It will ask you, do you want to create a file? I say yes. And now we're going to copy this whole URL or whole details, Control C and paste it here. Entire thing, Control C and paste it here. Please understand, we are not changing anything. We'll change as we go further, but the first line I purposefully mention here. So just worth a repeating here, Flask is the web service. We are going to say Flask Swagger. So that gives you adapter. Adapter means it's pluggable. Anytime somebody use word adapter, it's a pluggable. So Flask itself is a web service framework, but you are plugging Swagger. So Swagger now understand how Flask works. And on top of that, you are giving Flask Swagger UI, which is nothing but browser-based documentation. So Swagger UI, which will give you documentation, and this one, Swagger, which will allow you pluggable. So you can see here, you are using Flask here, but then suddenly you are using Swagger. This line works because of this adapter. You use this adapter. That adapter allows you Swagger to read Flask API and enhance that. This concept is called enrichment. So in industry, this concept is like your request object is here. On top of that, you add another wrapper. And that's your Swagger. So Swagger is actually adapter, means it use your Flask, and top of that, it adds adapter. In industry, this is called decoration pattern. Decoration pattern, it means underneath structure remain as is, you just change a little bit extra. In case if you do not know, Expedia use very nicely. So if you think about Expedia will ask you a bunch of things. And then Expedia will call to Marriott Hotel, they will only pass 2 things. But actually Expedia got more detail. So Expedia got more detail because they are enriching, because they are decorating. And then when they are calling, let's say Marriott Hotel, they only pass 2. But when they are sending enterprise, they may be only passing number 3. But Expedia itself take 1, 2, 3, 4. Why they do? Because they are decorate pattern. Decorate pattern means take more and then you decorate rest of the people. You do not talk directly Marriott. You go through Expedia. So Expedia get more thing. Same thing for mortgage loan. Same thing for other applications. The recipient will take a lot more detail and only require information passed to the next layer. That decoration pattern will allow Expedia to work with many services without re-asking same question. Make sense or no? So Swagger does the same thing. Swagger decorate the original Flask. Make sense? So right now, let's save it. File and save it. So the file is saved. Now, if I'm trying to run this file, I should get an error. Why? Because I don't have those library. I don't have a library. So let's run it. On your command prompt, you know how to run. So we'll say here Python space my web service and tab. Python space my web service and tab. So it will error out instantly. It will error out instantly. Why? Because there are no library there. Makes sense or no? So Python my web service.py, and as soon as you normally what I type little bit and press tab. I type little bit and press tab so you can see entire URL. Now if I press enter, it should cry. It will say these libraries are not there. Make sense or no? So now I'm going to install only that library, because normally what I do, I learn pip install. Now I'm going to install the Flask Swagger. So I kind of highlight and right click and paste it like that. So pip install, and based on what it says, I'm going to install it. I normally don't type. I kind of highlight, right click and paste it. So that adapter will allow now Swagger to intercept a Flask endpoint, and it will decorate that. Now you press enter, it will start installing for you. It may take a couple of minutes. It will download the necessary library and it will install. Give me thumbs up if you're able to successfully download that. Good. Awesome. To be honest with you, almost every 100% companies around is using Swagger. So Swagger is kind of becoming like, I would say, kind of Google. Anyone who wants to search, they use Google. Anyone who wants to use documentation for web services, they use Swagger. So now use up arrow, and try python myservice.py and see if you are getting error or it is working. So right now, again, it's error. So now I understood that I need to library. Again, I use up arrow python my web service and I got error. This way I'm confirmed that I need two modules. One is Flask Swagger and one is Flask Swagger UI. Make sense? So I got an error. I need to now install another module. So that module is pip install, and then I highlight that and right click on it. I highlight it and I right click on it and I right click here. So this way I can install another module. So I need two modules for this exercise. One Flask Swagger and one is Flask Swagger UI. And it should not take longer and it's successfully installed. Let me know if you're able to install UI. These kind of things, if you try to do in Java, first, Java has a very nice framework called Spring Boot. Now that requires quite a decent understanding. It's not easy as you can do in Python. In Python, you can do in 10 minutes. Just to set it up, Spring Boot and all, it takes quite a good lifting, heavy lifting. It's not that easy. That's why companies are switching toward Python and Node.js, because you can accomplish same thing as you can accomplish in Java with a lot more benefits you get, right? Now use up arrow, and enter, and now your service will run. And my service is running at 5000 port. I'm pretty positive your service will be running as well. Yes or no? Now, people on phone, any questions so far? Good. Now, I would suggest is go to your browser tab, and type this URL with the 5000 port. So here, I'll say localhost, change the port to 5000, localhost colon, so use localhost colon 5000. Now you say why 5000? Because 5000 is my port here, right? That's what we are using here. 5000, we are using port. And then after that, press enter or hello, and press enter, and it will give you hello world. You will see hello world. So make sure you type hello and it will give you hello world. It's quite simple, easy. So at least you know your service is working. Why 5000? Because we are listening to 5000. If you want to change the port, you do need to change the port, which you remember we have mentioned how to specify the port. Also, you can create a debug mode. Also, you can debug that. This is the best way to debug your program, because if there is a problem, you will know right away. Your error message will be this is where interesting thing happen. If I make a mistake here, I will know right away, because it will tell me that if I make mistake, I will have a status code, right? 400 means client error, 500 means internal error, 200 means success, 300 means I move something. So ideally we should look for 200 series. Now the service is running. So why service is running and how it works? Because if you notice carefully, we are using this endpoint. So when we use this endpoint, if I use hello, instead of hello, if I write my name, it will give my name as well, right? So this is the endpoint we are calling. So now if I go further, I have another endpoint, but before that, let's call this endpoint Swagger. So I'm going to copy that, and instead of hello, if I'm going to do Swagger, it will give me two things, title, and it will give me title and version. So you can see nicely when I do Swagger, I get this information. Right? So far, so good. As you can notice that this is coming because of you have highlighted here. Now, because you are writing Swagger here, this is going to this endpoint. And now this information info and title, and you can see here title and version. So title and version is there. Info is the parent, you can see. So if you understand this thing, can I add additional thing? Absolutely yes. Yes or no? Because this is your info. I'm going to show you that in a few minutes, so at least you feel comfortable. And the last but not least, Swagger using 2.0. That is our Swagger API with the library which we use it. We are not specifying as such as a version here, but it is using that. This two item is the value. This two item is a value which is coming from our program. This two item, right? So please understand, title and version, we wrote it. So can I write something else? Absolutely. Can I write info? Yes, because this is all declarative. Your choice. But these two things are coming automatically. These two things are coming automatically. How it is coming? So if you notice that carefully, here, this is info, which is your heading, right? And then title and version, which is the key value. So I can add additional key or I can add additional info here. Now, this swag is nothing but this object. This entire object is the swag, which you get a JSON. Now I'm going to change to this one, API doc, right? API doc. So if I put here API doc, second, two, yeah, in 1 second, I'll see this way. I'll remove Swagger also, but just want to make sure. Oops, yeah. Just change this thing, right? Okay. And you can see now colorful the Swagger. So API docs, which is calling your this endpoint. Now here, there is nothing special. We don't have much detail here, but I just want you to show you that anytime I do API document, you can see the template, color, everything is changed. This one is the boilerplate code where you say hello API. This is the name which is written here. The version 1.0 is written here. The Swagger, the endpoint, which is written here, right? And no operation defined yet because we don't have get, post, put, and delete, which we will do in a second exercise. At this moment, can I count we have 3 endpoints working? Hello, Swagger in API docs, people on phone. Good so far? Yeah, good. Anyone else? Right, perfect. Now, I just want you to change one value. So I'm going to copy this thing, the swag, and I'm going to add one more line like that, right? Now here, I just say language. Instead of version, I'll say language, L-A-N-G, language, and I'll say Python. I copy the line. In Python, alignment is important. So I always like kind of use alignment. So I copy this line. I just changed language and Python, right? So far, so good. So you add that item and now save it. Normally it auto restart. So it should be, you can see that it will restart automatically. You will see on the screen, on the black screen, it auto restart whenever you make a change. So if everything is right, it will start automatically. So right now I added this thing. Now if you can call Swagger and see if you are able to get that information. And here you go, language is Python. Makes sense, or not? So if I want to add additional anything here, I have an ability to do so. Now I understand I can do this part, right? Now let's say if I want to do something called specific thing example, just an example, right? So if I change this one, I copy this line, Control C, and I put here, instead of info, let's say I say example. This is my example. Now you can see here info, and then there is a key value. So here example, and here let's say I say JSON or sample. Let's do sample. Now here I write simple example in curly bracket. Let's say I put example key value, just an example. I'm trying to do in a single quotation. Let's do ID colon 1 comma single quotation name colon, just an example so you can understand Tom. and I save this thing. Please understand, I copied this line. Just like info, I have example and I have sample. And I kind of double quotation, I added this information. ID this and Tom this, right? You can write whatever you want and you save it. As you save, if everything is right, your system will restart. And if you refresh it, you will now, you have informations about that. Now you can see here what is happening. Now you can see here key error example. So here it is key error. So right, key error example, and now you can see here it gives you informations that this is not able to find this handler part, right? So let's see here, you can see here it says Swagger example sample. So Swagger API does not seems like having a example as a key. So I'll use info just to make life a little easier. So they don't have an example as such. So I'm going to use here info, right? And here I'll say sample, that's fine. Now let's see here. I save this thing and I refresh now. Now you can see I can able to plug this thing here. So this way you can enforce whatever the element you required, whichever format you needed. So it doesn't allow me anything else. It just say use info and then you add your key here. So I added my key here and I got my answer here as well. So this way you can enhance your Swagger JSON. Just a basic related thing. The next exercise has much more detail. But any questions so far here? Any questions so far? How to add your own key along with the info which they have provided? Any questions, concerns? So far, so good. Now, this one is kind of basic, but it gives you 2-3 things clear. One, you are able to call Swagger endpoint. You are able to call API doc, and you are able to install the library. This is what the initial exercise was. Yeah, so change the example to info because they don't like example here. So I use the same info and then I change my thing to sample. Save it and try it out. Good so far? Everyone is able to run, right? Now, this endpoint I can use through Postman, but that's not fun. The next one is the fun. So that one we want to do. Now we have ground same. We all have basic understanding. We have installed the library and we have basic understanding how Swagger works. No matter where you go, you will always have a Swagger, this kind of endpoint. And you will also have Swagger registration here. These kind of things are decoration to your original API. So far, we were focusing on API. But this is called decoration. That's why we call decoration pattern, because it is not what you call changing original signature or original API. It is just adding a wrapper. This decoration pattern is very popular. So again, in industry, sometimes, in Java, people might know this word AOP. Does anyone knows about word AOP? Anyone? AOP stands for aspect-oriented programming. Aspect-oriented programming. So what happened when you are doing API gateway? API gateway is aspect-oriented programming. So what happened when you enter on a gate, right? So think about that you are going for car wash. So car wash, if you're going, car is going to the car wash, yes or no? So first thing, something you have to pay the bill, right? Maybe then it will go and apply water. Then they will apply maybe soap, then water again. Then they will have dry, maybe wax, and then you move forward. Yes or no? Now, if you pay $2, then you have maybe water and dry. If you pay $5, you will have wax. If you pay maybe $10, you have something additional, more thing. Yes or no? But car wash machine is car wash machine. Car is car. The room is room. But as you pay more, you get more flavor. Yes or no? So that concept is called aspect. Aspect is nothing but what you want. aspect. Oriented means based on what you want, oriented programming. So if I pay $5, you are enabling those flavor. Same thing, if my request wants security, I can enable security. If I want metering, how many times you should call, I can do that. Authentications, right? Logging, right? Filtering. So these are aspect. Logging is aspect, traceability is aspect, metering is aspect, auditing is aspects, fetching or forking, those are aspects. So sometimes in industry we do this thing. These are called pluggable programming. Pluggable programming means you are not changing original service, but you are adding on top of it without modifying the original service. And this is very popular pattern. Again, aspect oriented programming is just a different name of decoration pattern. Decoration pattern means you are adding on top of the original service. So right now, let's jump into the second service. So let's go back to our forum. In our forum, let's click one more time the Python API. Let's click on one more time Python API. So this time your same two programs. First program we touched it. Now we are going to talk about second program. Second program is much more interesting. First program was just setting the baseline. Now let's click on the second program. As you click on second program, you will see quite a long program. Now, good news, library wise, we are good. So we have library. Most of the library we have installed. So should not have a problem. Again, we are using same Flask. Now what we are doing, this is the real applications. So a little bit fun. So we are starting with a sample empty dictionary. Just like in database, you have empty table. In JSON, you have empty dictionary. Now you must have got that when you start it, you don't have anything. But if you want to add something, you will use post method. Do you guys agree or not? Say yes or no. And if you want to get something, you use get method. Then you do put method and you're going to do delete. I'm going to show you all four. To be honest with you, all four operations we use all the time. So having that understanding, that give you more confidence. Because no matter where you go, you will have those lifecycle management, CRUD, right? Post, put, get, and delete. But before we start, always we have empty JSON. So this is your database. This is your in-memory database, right? Just like database is persistent, this is in-memory. Means you stop your program, the file will lose the data because it's in memory. So that's what our empty data. Now moving along next. This is a Swagger endpoint. As you can see here, we are returning. And here we are using Swagger 2.0 info, title, description, version, the path. And then we are giving, if somebody calls sample get, then we are going to give this detail and we are going to give this thing. So this is your get operation detail. So this is something you are educating your QA or developer that if somebody calls samples, please understand, if somebody calls samples with get operation, then we are going to give you get all samples. We are going to give you all samples and we will give you response 200 and description will be success. So this is kind of good that I understand. If I call this, I'll get all samples. Perfect. Now moving next. Now we are saying, hey, if somebody call instead of get, if somebody call post, then we're going to create it. However, we need two parameters. So we say parameters, rectangle bracket, name, ID. So it means when you pass your post operation, you do need to pass ID as a parameter like that, which is the body, colon, and something value. In body, it means you pass in body. Description sample ID, required true. So what does that mean? If you don't pass, it will be error. Are you understanding? So crystal clear, you're now forcing that. You have to pass ID. Perfect. Now schema is integer. It means this can be numeric item. Makes sense or not? Please understand this decorate only one key. So ID, name equal to ID. But if you want product ID, then you can say name equal to product ID. In body, always there because you are writing JSON. Description, product ID. This one is changeable. Required true, that is necessary. If it is optional, don't do that. Schema, type integer means numeric. If you say schema string, then it will be spelling. Now you can see here, this is one parameter in a rectangle bracket means you have a bunch of parameters. This is one parameter and this is second parameter. In second parameter, you say name equal to name. Now it means first this name equal to name means this first one is the name, which is your key. Now colon, you are saying pass in a body, description sample name, required true schema string. It means I need to pass, let's say Tom. So this is my JSON object. For post, question comes down. If you are, let's say if you want to pass, let's say price. So you copy this parameter object. And what are you going to say? What are you going to say? Name equal to price. In body, description equal to sample price, required true, false, schema type. Instead of integer, you may say float. Makes sense or not? Let's say if you have a bunch of items, right? 1, 2, 3 items like list. So instead of type, you just say list, right? In that case, you pass in a rectangle bracket, right? This is the grammar you are creating. So what happened? QA person will know. This is like, if you remember on the first day, we created a contract. This is your contract, which is readable contract. You will see that, right? Now, let's say you did that. You successfully passed this two things, ID and name. What are you going to get? You're going to get response 201, and you're going to get this description created. So you're expecting 201. 201 means success, and description will be created. Now, going to the next one. So you can see all those things we are doing get post. Now going to the, still we are in the Swagger document. Going to the next one. We are saying sample curly bracket ID. It means if you pass like that, samples 1 or 2 or 3, whatever you, that curly bracket means it will be passed, right? Now, that one, you are saying that get the sample ID. Now parameter, whatever you're passing, what it is that? So name is ID, description sample ID, require an integer. It means you can only pass 1, 2, 3 numeric value. You cannot pass X, Y, Z because those are ID. And if you do that, we'll give you success line. So you can ask particular delete item, or you can ask particular item to be updated, or you can ask particular item to be retrieved. But when you pass, you only pass numeric thing. Now put us. Let's talk about put. Same concept. Input. Everything is okay? Huh? Yeah. So in a put part, first thing you are doing parameters. So you can see, make sure you understand how to pass this thing, because this will help you to create your JSON. Remember, this is something will be created by our developer. But as a QA, you need to understand. So you will be passing these two key, that's what they are saying, and format is same. So you know that, I'll show you that. And if you do update, then you should get 205, 204. It means no content, but you get status 204. 204 means successfully updated. I'll show you with the example. Okay. Now, same thing for delete. In delete, you have to pass only one parameter. What's the parameter? ID. So if you say I'm passing 1, then I will delete that one item. If you say 2, means I'll delete 2. So you're only pass ID. Perfect. And if you are successful, I'll pass 204. So that your JSON for Swagger. Any questions so far?
We only passing the one parameter, so we need the square bracket.
You don't need square bracket, but you can see here, you don't need to have square bracket, but because they are saying parameters, right? It's only one item. You don't need a square bracket, but because it's a parameters, you can have 0 or you can have more, right? That's a good observation. Any other questions? Good. Okay, now the fun here. Please pay attention, because this will really help you. The complexity is not yet done. We need to understand the code properly. First of all, this is the boilerplate code. This item. Remember, we talk about boilerplate. So there is nothing special I changed. Last example, you might have seen the same thing. Yes or no? So this is called cut and paste, right, Marine? This is cut and paste thing, right? Make sure you see here. So it's very important that you cut and paste this code. Minor small line can create a problem as a Swagger. This is a boilerplate code. You notice last service and this service, same content. So there is nothing to worry about, just cut and paste the code. That will register your documents. Okay, but now I want you to see here, this is a very versatile service, means short circuit. I created simple but better service for you. Please see on the screen. First, I'm saying, hey, if you call sample with get and post method, if you call sample with get and post method, then this method is working for two operations, get and post. So it kind of reduces code. If your method is get, I'm going to give you data. Remember data we started early, data equal to curly bracket JSON. You guys agree? We started empty JSON. So we're going to return whole data if you pass get. But if you do post, then I'll get ID and name. How many I'm getting? ID and name. So 2. So if you need like a price and all, you do need to pass that. So first we'll do ID and name. If that works, we'll try to do additional items. So you will understand. But request is nothing but the JSON. JSON get ID, because we specifically created structure. So we know we are expecting ID and name. So we can extract that and we give that to our variable. And then we're gonna add, if you don't pass, we will give error. If you don't pass, we will give error. Otherwise, we'll add that item into sample. So you can see here, we're adding that item into data. If you correctly pass, we're adding to data. Let's repeat one more time. Make sure you always understand program as a line, and multitasking will not help. So make sure you understand, because if you don't understand, don't tell me that, because sometimes one line may take one day. And it's very human nature. When we are understanding something, we overlook. Please understand, because you have to, when you are doing project, your life becomes so simpler. If you understand, you can do in 2 minutes. The reason people are spending 10 hours or 15 hours, because they're not understanding. And the reason, sometimes small thing can cause problem. So how many operations we are focusing? 2. So here we use if and else. So we can reduce. So get, if it is straightforward, we return. But post, we are going to get a JSON. So in a postman, you're going to pass it, and that is coming to the service. So service say you pass ID, you pass name, I'll store in my variable. But if you don't pass, I'll give you error message. But if you pass correctly, I'll store into my JSON. The data is your JSON collection. I'll store that. And then I'll give you appropriate code. But now, if you do delete or put or particular get, so if you call 3 items, we are reusing for 3 methods. Pretty good, right? So here we are saying sample integer ID. If somebody pass integer and call get, if it is get, I'll go to data and say, hey, give me that ID. If somebody call put, I'll go to that and say, update that thing. Or if somebody say delete, then I'll do the delete of that item. So this quite service we are doing with simple 2 operations, get and post. So see here one more time, so you'll understand. If you pass get, then I'll use the ID, whatever ID you pass, like here, right? Sample 1, let's say you do 1, then I go to data and say, give me the number 1 object, or give me number 2 object. And put also, whatever you pass, I'll take that item and update that item to the data ID. And if you say delete, then I'll go to delete and delete that particular item. So this exercise we'll do together. First, understand how it works, and then we'll modify it. Sounds good? So at this moment, I would say Control A, do Control A, Control A. So that will be copy, and I'll change our original program, the program we were working. We are not creating a separate program. We're going to change this thing. So I'll remove the previous program, Control A, and I do Control V. The my web service. Remember, I just remove entire thing, Control A, and then Control V, so I can remove the previous program, and this program is now taking full effect. Oops, my mistake. No, I need to highlight. No, Control A doesn't work. Sorry for that. Last time I copy, right? Yeah, Control A doesn't work. You have to highlight.
It does.
Otherwise, number comes
It does.
together. It does?
Yeah.
Yeah, last time I did, right? Control A, but some reason number came along with it. Maybe I highlighted through mouse. Yeah, maybe. But anyway, some reason number came along with that. Make sure you know how to copy paste properly, because it's very important that I don't want to write too much code, right? It's too much. Right? One more time, I removed the previous program and I pasted this program. Now I have an entire program. Save this thing. You save it. If everything is right, the service will bounce, and it is right now giving me error. It is giving me error. Why it is giving me error? Because there is one additional module is not there, which is called RESTful, right? So now we know how to install. So let's just install it. Pip install, and we'll highlight and right click on it. Sometimes, error gives you clue. Just maximize that error. So anytime I get the error, it gives me clue, and I like to get that error message first. I can hide that and install upfront. That's not my style. My style is I like to see errors, so next time I'll be knowledgeable rather than blindly. Many people do the coding without understanding. Goal of the exercise, as you progress, you should understand what error you get, what is the solution, what is the error, what is the solution. When you have that type of knowledge, you consider yourself as expert, right? Now install. So now the RESTful service is installed, and now use up arrow and try to start your service. Now your service starts without any difficulty. Everyone is able to write, right? See, I installed that, and after installation, I'm able to start my service. So I just use our up arrow and then start the service. Please understand, Python makes life so easy. If I need to do this thing in Java, it's quite complex. So here I have Python services up and running. Now, if you guys okay, give me thumbs up if you're good, so we can move forward. Good. Okay. Now, go to your browser and try to write Swagger. Just write Swagger. Nothing else. Just write Swagger. Where is the browser? Here you go. Just Swagger and refresh. You will see entire your detail about Swagger, which we know. Yes or no? Because we know that in code, we have quite a complex Swagger here, right? This is the Swagger. All the definition of Swagger is visible here. When I call this endpoint, I got entire Swagger JSON file. Make sense, huh? So that part is pretty cool. Now let's go to down. There is an API docs. So let's copy that API docs and do that. Now you will see colorful API docs. Oops. You will see now beautiful, colorful API docs. Say ta-da! You can. It's the Python program. You have to install Python Eclipse, in Eclipse Python extension. You can, why not? If you can do in Notepad, you can do any editor, right? But in Eclipse, you have to install Python editor. So there is a plugin you need to install, because by default it's a Java, but you can install it. Just like Visual Studio, you can install extension. Yeah. Can I count everyone is able to see beautiful, colorful? If you are not able to see, maybe your service is down. Up arrow. Python space my service. Python, whatever name he gave, right? So I'm not sure what name he gave, but Python space my service .py, like this. Whatever name he has given, like this. Right? Can I count? Everyone is able to see colorful Swagger. Did it take a long time? Right? 5 minutes, right? Now the magic is how to test it. So people on phone, I'm hoping you are able to do. Many times what happened, this file caused a lot of trouble, but I gave you my program. So technically speaking, it should work as long as you install the library, right? We had a problem with the REST library, so we installed the library. Again, those type of hiccup will happen, because here you can see they are using RESTful. So we need to install it. Now, this program is static, not a problem, but let's understand how to use as a QA. So if I'm a QA, first of all, I'm a developer, so I know ultimately this is my database. Yes or no? And then if I do get, what should I get? If I call get right now, what should I get?
Data.
Empty. I will get empty. There is no data, right? So let's do it. Click on the get. Click on a get. As you click on get, you will say try it out. Yes or no? Make sure you follow the flow correctly. Click on a get first, then try it out, and then click on execute. And then click on execute. And you will see empty. And if you see that, congratulations, it worked. But there is no data. Do you guys agree? That was expected. So congratulations. And you can see how nicely it does for Linux. How does it beautifully? Guys, this is awesome, right? This is awesome. So now get works. Let's do post. So let's click on a post. Make sure you follow the flow. The last thing you do is not understand and not ask, right? Make sure you pay attention and do it right. So click on post. So when I come and post, this is a little bit tricky. You have to understand a little bit. So first of all, it says when we say required, how beautifully it is being required. So it gives you a clue. So here I'm going to say 1. So here first let's do try it out. My mistake. Let's do try it out. So it will allow me edit. So it will allow me to edit. Do you guys agree? So I will put here 1. I'll put it 1 here because it is using ID as a required. And in the sample, do this curly bracket and double quotation ID, colon 1, comma, double quotation name, colon, just use any name of your choice. I use my name. So please understand ID, colon 1, name equal to Tom, and we'll see if this is working. If not, we'll figure it out. It's not a big deal to figure it out because right now the way they have given here body integer, so we'll see how it goes. So ID equal to 1, name Tom, right? So what I'm trying to do ID 1 because I know the ID 1 and I know they want name, so I pass name. So I'm passing that because you can see here name is the key and ID is the key. That's what they have 2 ID, right? So ID is here and name here. Now, please understand this is the curly bracket start, curly bracket end, ID colon 1, comma, name Tom. If everything is fine, then it should give me success. So I'm going to do execute and see if it's crying or happy. We'll see. So I do execute and it's giving me success. Success. Perfect. It's a sample created successfully. Let me repeat one more time, guys. See on the screen, I give 1. Don't make it hard. I give a 1 here and I give a curly bracket here. See here, curly bracket start, curly bracket ends. And then I say ID, right, colon, and 1, comma, name, right, column, and Tom. If this is correct, then I should get success, right? Now, I know this thing because of the grammar. And these are my value. I can give any value. So if you say, is that true? Let's do 2 here and do ID 2 and give a Tom, instead of Tom, maybe Tim, and submit that and execute one more time. And it successfully ran, not a problem. Both times it successfully completed. Give me some thumbs up if you are able to insert. Perfect. You're able to insert. Remember, this is your ID and this is your JSON. You can see we are not writing a single line of code. Who is making this enable? This is Swagger. So Swagger is becoming a client of our endpoint post and doing that. If this theory is right, then if I call get, should I get 2 items? Yes or no? We inserted 2 items. So let's go back to get. This one? Here? No, this is like integer. That's why. Did you do edit? Try it out? Did you do try it out? If it is coming, then what you're doing? Working. Okay. Now try to do get method one more time. So where is my get? Here is the get. Yeah, here, sorry, here is the get. Let's click on execute one more time. So I'm doing get execute. I should get two objects, right? Yes or no? Tom and Tim. So click on execute and give me tada. I can see, I can see, I can see. Yes or no? People on phone, are you guys able to see? Because
No.
the curly bracket. You're sorry, no? What's the issue?
Don't
Are you able?
know, but I don't see anything.
No. Did you do post first of all? Post has to work. Then
Yes, I did. I type everything 1 and 2 and on brackets, but nothing.
No. Did you execute also?
Maybe we should repeat again.
Sorry, could you repeat?
Can we repeat post again?
I will. Let me repeat one more time. Other people on phone, anyone? Because I know we have many people, only 3 thumbs up I saw so far. What about others? Right? If you're not giving thumbs up, you're hurting me, my friend. Huh? It took me 3-4 hours to do this exercise. At least 1 thumbs up is needed, right? If you are able to do it, thumbs up. If you're not able to do, say something, but don't be completely like silent, right? That would be difficult. In that case, I don't know it worked or not, right? First thing first, if your element is not added, then get will give you empty. So let's do one more time post. So first, what I'm going to do, I'm going to refresh the browser. I'm going to refresh the browser, so it will reset everything, right? But data will have object, but I'm going to refresh the browser. So let's refresh the browser. Please this time do right. It will be easier if you follow the flow. If there is a small deviation, it won't work, right? So let's refresh it. So when I refresh it, now it will reset back, right? So now when you come here, please understand you get curly bracket because you did not do try it out. So first you have to go to post and click on try it out. That will give you editor. That will give you editor. Make sense or no? Please see on the screen and click on try it out. I'm in a post. I try it out. So it will give me editor. Yes or no? Now in this editor, I will write here. So right now, see right now it's crying, huh? Right? Last time it was straightforward, right? So first let me do cancel for a second. And then I'll say try it out. Okay. Now, are you guys able to see curly bracket here? Right? I supposed to highlight and write 2. Right? Because 2 already there. So I'm going to highlight and now do, see, I highlight it, right? And I say 4, right? So I am able to write 4. I highlight and I'm able to write 4. Make sense or no? Why? Because 1 and 2 is there. So I'm right now 4. Now in string, I'm going to say curly bracket, double quotation ID colon, double quotation, sorry, double quotation ID, double quotation colon 4. That's my ID. I'm not doing 3. I'm just saying 4. That's fine. And I'll say name equal to name colon Amy. And now curly bracket. So just see one more time on screen. Sometimes you may have a curly bracket. That's a problem. You highlight that and just type. Right? That's the integer. And this one is your JSON. So JSON start, JSON ends, curly bracket. Now ID double quotation, right? Colon and give a number because I have 1, 2. So I'm just doing 5, 4, then comma, and then you say name, colon, and say Tom or Amy, whatever you want. Now just to execute. When you execute, it should give you success right there, like that, sample created successfully. If this is not working, then get won't work, then put won't work, then delete won't work. So that's why it's very important that you do post successfully. Did it work? Everyone? Irina, did it work?
I just did execute on a button. Last time I did not do execute.
Okay. But now it worked, right?
Execute, yes, but let's see what's
Now go to get. Now go to get. Click on a get and try it out. Try it out and then execute. And it should give you all elements. Try it out and click on execute. And happy. You guys agree? Happy, joy. You guys know this thing? Happy,
Okay,
joy.
got it.
Right? Thank you. Yeah, good. Which you may know, right? Happy, joy. In case if you do not know, very young kid have a song like just like a Mickey Mouse. Anyway, so get and post work. Now let's go to put. So scroll down. We have put. Scroll down. So we have put. So now, depend on what value you enter, right? I don't know the number you entered, but I know number 4 I entered ME. Yes or no? So I know that part. You enter, let's say 3, you enter 2, whichever you entered, you should know the number, right? Now click on try it out. Remember, I'm in put. Please pay attention. I'm in a put. I'm going to do try it out. So click on try it out. So when I try it out, it is asking me which number. So I'll say number 4 because I added 4, right? I added 4. So I'm saying I want to update number 4 because I added 4. Now I'm going to say, you know what, this time I'm going to write double quotation ID colon 4 is 4, right? I can't change that. So I'll keep 4. 4 means 4. Then comma name, this time, let's say I say it's not Amy, it's Mary, right? So I change that. So you can see that what I'm trying to say here, hey, go to number 4 and change the person name from Amy to Mary, right? If it is correct, it should do that. Yes or no? Now, after you do that, make sure you try it out, will allow editor. After you do that, just execute it. So after you do that 4, again, this number has to exist in your data. Yes or no? If it is exist, then it will update it. If it is exist, if it is not exist, it will not do anything. So make sure number exists, and now you click on execute, and boom, it will do that put, and you can say it's successful here, and say what is the no content? Yeah, it will say no content, but then go to get and check that. Go to get, and get will give you that clue, right? So go to get, and this is my get. I execute my get, and here you go, Mary changed. So I went all the way up, and I execute my get, and now it changed to Mary.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! That's the right thing. You won't believe how much effort it takes to do this type of lab. It takes time, okay? It's not easy, guys. It takes time. I'm a roller coaster. In the morning itself, first thing I wrote it here that I need to create. You can see here, in case if you are saying this is my to-do list, but the first thing in the morning, 7 o'clock, I write down this web service API document needs to be updated. Then forum needs to be updated, right? I have to document that because I have to make sure the video is created. So UI video has to be created. All those things have to be there. But anyway, it worked, right? In case now let's say delete number 4, I want to delete. So go down all the way, go all the way down, and let's do delete. So in this way, let's say before we delete, let's do get because that will give a more clue. Let's do get first. So get, try it out, get, try it out, and do number 4. This time you can easily figure it out that Amy or Mary. And here you can see Mary is visible. Makes sense? I can see Mary is visible. So get is working fine. Yes or no? So in get, just give a number, and through number, you can see after you do execute, make sure you execute it and you get that. Now let's do delete. So delete part, where did it go? Here you go. Put is here and delete, put, execute, and here you go. So here I'll say try it out. Now 4 and execute. So it will delete. If I delete, it will delete it. So now it's gone. It's deleted. So if I do get 4, I should not get anything, right? So if I do get 4, technically speaking, I got error, internal server error, which is true because there is no error, index out of bound, yes or no? Because there is no number 4, but if I do 1, I should get the value, yes or no? Because 1 has a Tom, and if I do 2, it's a team, perfect. But number 4 is not there. Do you agree or not? So, because properly it's working, you don't need even Postman to verify this, yes or no? Don't you think this is super? This is very easy, and mostly it's beautiful. It's just it gives you clue, it gives you Linux command also. You can do the debug and all. I can cut and paste. If there is an error, right? Let's do number 4 one more time. If there is an error, it gives you clear error also. So you don't have to log into server. It will tell you everything what happened. Look at that. It gives you error clearly. It gives you error like what happened, all those things. So it kind of gives you more information in the browser only. So Swagger is like a savior for QA students because you don't have to ask anyone. Straightforward, you can learn it, you can try it, and then you can do Postman. If you are okay, now we can modify this and see if it works or not. Any question before we modify this service? Good? Are you guys ready for the challenge? Because if you know how to modify this, then you can work in any service in the world, because not only ID and name, but you can do other thing also. So I'm going to go back to my program. And first I need to understand, before I modify, first, do I need to change anything here in these highlighted lines? Do I need to change anything? No, there is no need to change anything. Do you agree? No need to change here. So I come here. Do I need to change up to here? No. But then do I need to change anything here? No. But here post is there. So you can see here one ID is name and then name. So I'm going to copy this section. Please follow the flow properly. See here, this section is one section. Please see on the screen. See, I can help you, I can guide you, but ultimately you are the one who is driving, right? There are 2 sections, right? If you carefully see that, section 1, that gives you this thing, and section 2 gives you this. So if I want to add another section, I need to copy this section, right? So I'm going to copy, and then I need to do comma and paste that section. Why? Because each section has a comma. Make sense? You know JSON very well, so it's not difficult. So I'm going to copy this section up to this. Make sure you see on the screen, and then do comma first, comma, and then paste that section, whole section, just like that. So you paste it. Let me format a little bit. So my section is pretty good. Now name is, it's a name. Instead of name, I'll say, let's say email. Just an example, email. Make sense? This is my new section. Please see here, I added comma here. Don't forget that comma. That comma is a miracle, because without comma, you are not separating that. So I'll say I'm adding email. Now descriptions will be sample email and required to. Rest of the thing I don't need to change. That's all. Big thing, and I'm done. So I added a comma here. I changed to email, and I did sample email. Good. Easy. People on phone, easy, right? Simple.
Yeah.
Good. Now let's go further and try to see, is there any other place we need to do? So if I go further, this is the ID. Again, it is just asking, so no need to change. Do I need to change here? I don't think so. Do you agree? It's just working on ID. I don't think I need to change anything. Now put, please see here. In put, do I need to change? Answer is yes. Yes or no? So I'm a little lazy. So I'll go back and I copy my section with comma. I'm a lazy guy, right? I will copy my put section. Remember put section with comma? I'm going to copy that section, and whatever we did in early, I'm going to copy that section with comma, Control C, and I can put in a put after the second block. So I put it here, Control V, and I'm done. So check it out. This is what I added in a put. Again, use your imagination. Make sure you have comma properly and you have curly bracket properly, right? That part is pretty clear. Awesome. So this is going smoothly, right, so far. And this part up to this, that's all. Now we are going to code. But before I go to code, any question? Why did I do that? What I did that? Any questions so far? Right? So far we changed Swagger. We have not yet changed Python program, which we will change in few minutes. Ready so far? Everyone is good? Again, in case if you are not able to do, you can watch recording, but I would suggest you can do it. It's not that complex. Just copying, right? Changing a little bit here and there should not be difficult, right? Right? Remember, copy paste part, modification part is kind of easy because you have example. I'm using that example. Name was there. I just made it email, right? Now moving ahead. Now, if you scroll down, there's no need to change up to this level. So I'm going to program. In program here, it's important. First, do I need to change anything here up to this level? No. Do I need to change anything? No. But here I need to change. Do you guys agree? Say yes or no. Yeah, we need to add. So we're going to copy this line. We're going to copy this line and we're going to paste it. Remember, copy, that will give you clue properly. So instead of name, we'll say email. And instead of name here, we'll say email. So just one line change I did. So check it out. We did email. We just did this. It was name, we made it email. It was name, we just made it email. So that part looks pretty good. Right? Now, if I can also copy from here, please see on the screen. Always see on the screen, because initially I had ID and name, right? So I'm going to copy with or, and I'll put instead of name to email. So check it out, just like that. I copy this thing, Control C, little space, Control V, and instead of name, I just did email. That's it. That's it. Please understand, it's not a complex thing I'm doing. This was there. This line was there. I just added this line, or email is null, because if somebody don't give me email, then I'll error out. Right? Always have one working example. That way you can easily move forward. If you try to write from scratch, it's going to take days. But if you tie with the template, then it will be a lot easier. So this is easy. Now, there is nothing to change actually. Now here I have a problem. It is writing, see here, it is writing sample ID, sample name. It is not writing my email. So what will happen? My email will not be stored. Do you guys agree? So what should I do? What should I do? Just for simplicity purpose, if you guys are okay, I'll use plus, double quotation space, plus name, email. That way, we can just check it out. I just did this for simplicity purpose, that I did plus, double quotation space, double quotation, plus this one, because so basically whenever somebody write that, I'm also writing name and email. So this method, I think we're quite good. So we made change here. That's one change we made here. Second change we made here, and third. So total 3 change we made. Right? Easy. You might notice that I'm not writing from scratch. I'm just copying and modifying accordingly. The reason I did it, because here it is only capturing name, not email. So if I don't write, it will not capture it. So good thing. Now let's go down. And now here it is put. It is just taking the name. So I need to copy here and add the email. So I'm going to put, copy that, Control C, and paste it here, and we'll say email. So here we'll say email and email. It's fun to modify the program. Trust me, many times it is require art, how to modify the program. Many of you are excellent because I have seen your project, I have seen your homework, you know what you're doing. Use ChatGPT, use Google, use friends, use WhatsApp, whatever works for you, but know how to do this work. Because such kind of thing, if you keep asking someone, you will drive people crazy because no one will help you, because they say, you're a working example, why don't you figure it out? Right? Google cannot help you here. So it's very important. Use from existing program, that learning and then modified. So that part is good. Now, I will be copying here, sample name is none. So here I'll say email. So that part I need to do. So please understand, I added this line here and I added this line, whole line I added. So I say or sample email because that's my variable, right? Is none. Good so far. Now, here same issue, right? So I'll copy the previous line. Remember we did sample name here. So I'll copy entire this line from here. See on the screen, please. I copied this line and I paste it here. So Control C and I'll paste it here, Control V. So because this line was not there, so I kind of mimic that line because we already did this exercise here. So whenever I write to the sample ID, I'm going to write this way. Good. So I'm sure you are now become master because you know where the name is. You're just using that email. So that's pretty cool. Now this delete part, I don't think we need to do that. And rest looks pretty good to me. So if everything is good, it's time for us to test. So do save it. So service will bounce if everything is right. So I save it. Looks like it errored out. It just errored out. Inconsistent use of tab, indentation. So I'm sure there is an indentation problem. I made a screwed up somewhere indentation. So where the indentation problem happened. So here, indentation line number 169 sample email JSON get. So here indentation problem. So sometimes indentation is causing trouble if you press enter, right? Because I'm in a notepad. So the indentation is always a challenging. But here, do I have a problem? It looks on same surface, but looks like there is an indentation problem. So what we'll do, I'll save it first, and then I'll go back to the wherever my program is, right? Wherever my program is, I'll go to IDLE. So I have to open IDLE because indentation is pretty hard to find out. So what I normally do, IDLE, check it out. IDLE, I search IDLE. I open the IDLE because here I can see graphically where the indentation problems are. So I'll say open a file new. Instead of file new, I'll go to the location. Location is C drive user itexps. So for me, C drive user itexps. C drive user itexps. So I open IDLE. I'll go to file, open, file, open. Then I'll go to C drive users itexps. And the program name was, what was the program name? My web service, right? So I double click here. Now you will see that it will give me the clue where the indentation problem is. It's going to give me a clue. It will give me a clue. And you will see now, right now looks pretty good to me, but still it's erroring out. And this is like a very weird problem in Python. When we were doing Chuck E. Cheese project, oh my God, we go crazy. So you can run here. You can run here and it will cry where the indentation is. That's the beautiful part I like. So if I run here, it will cry. Exactly. Look at that. See how beautiful it is crying? Life savior. Yes or no? Life savior. Otherwise, here you have no idea where the problem is. Here, instantly. So you need to know the tool. Now, look at that. On surface, it looks exactly same. But the problem is, check it out. Problem is, this is the way you detect the problem. You press enter, and where the enter is going, check it out. If I press enter, enter is going here. Then you do delete. You can see that extra space is there. Do you see that? Then delete, and now you're good. Now I save it, Alt Fs. I save from IDE. Now I'll go back and run from the notepad. And ta-da! Life savior, right? No Google can help you. Right? We spend days and nights to figure it out, this problem. Because Chuck E. Cheese program all are in Raspberry Pi. So they use VI editor. It's so difficult to debug. So we need something like this. So we bring the program, we debug, and then we. But so far, give me thumbs up if you're able to bring the service up. Good, 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 good. People on phone, if you're having a problem, you can open in ideally and then look for your path, where your path is, right? C drive, user, itexps, and then you press enter, previous line, and then slowly delete. So you're disappear. Now refresh your browser, and first let's do post. So I'm going to refresh and I'll do post. So first I'll try it out and I'll say 1. Now you can see here name and here string. So this is very awkwardness, name string. So here let's see how it will use, because name is there, string is there. So we'll keep it like that. And here email. So let's see if I can combine all together. So right now, let's say if I pass to email like this, curly bracket, ID, colon 1, name, Tom, comma, email, colon, tom@abc.com. Now, the problem we might have, because here we are not passing this guy and we are not passing this guy, right? They might cry. So just to make happy, I'm going to pass here Tom, just to make happy. So here ID 1, here Tom, and here I'm passing this. Let's see what happens if I do execute. If it works, we know how to navigate. So right now, seems like it worked, right? If that situation is right, I'll go to get. And if I say get, give me get. Where is the get? Yeah, here you go. Give me first, try it out and give me first element, because I added just now. And you can see Tom and Tom shows up. Pretty cool. It worked. So again, very simple. I use 1 and I use Tom here for post, right? I can see my ID is 1. I say Tom, and here I pass complete element, and I was able to insert that. And I can pass multiple elements. So if I do 2, right? 2 instead of Tom, maybe Terry, right? And I can say Terry here, right? Terry, and this way I can submit another element. So that is gone. Now, if I want to update something, which the put. So put is, where is my put? This is my post. Where is my put? Put is get, and this is the put. Okay, here you go. So now I have 2 elements. So I'll say, you know what? I want to update, try it out. I want to update number 1. And here it is asking name and email. So here I'll just say, I want to say Amy, and I want to change Amy@abc.com. If it works, it should change Tom to Amy. Let's see that. So seems like it said bad request. So something wrong happened. So now we have to see what is wrong. Oh, you know what? They will need this way, right? Because it's a curly bracket. So it will need name equals to Amy, right? That's what it will look for. An email colon Amy@abc.com. I think that this one will go through, because it look for JSON, right? And execute and say, seems like it went through, right? So if that is the truth story, Amy went through. If I do execute, looks like there's no error. In that case, get should give me the value then. So if I do get again, execute, yeah, Amy is here. So you can see Amy is here. Pretty cool. So this is what I did. I pass here 1 Amy, and here I pass entire object, and it translated. So, you know, this way you know how Swagger works. Any question, concerns, doubt?